In this video, you will learn what you need in order to create a custom web page, how to edit the sample HTML file to include the parameters you want, and how to load your custom web page to your meter and validate that it is working. To create a custom web page, you need a basic knowledge of HTML, a text or HTML editor. This walkthrough uses Notepad++, access to the Meter's FTP site to download the sample web pages and upload the completed web pages, and the Meter's modbus map and an understanding of modbus protocol. First, download the Meter's modbus map from schneiderelectric.com. On the Schneider Electric website, search for your meter name, in this example PM8000, plus modbus map. Click the link, then click Download to save the map. Note that the Modbus register list may not apply if you've customized your meter's Modbus map. Go to the third-party protocol screen in Ion Setup to check if you have the default Modbus map. Next, copy the sample web page files from your meter's FTP site. Note that FTP access to the meter needs to be enabled. Access the FTP site for your meter, and log in with a user account that has FTP access. Open the Web folder, then the Examples folder. Select the two sample HTML files, then copy them. Navigate to the folder where you want to store your working copy of the custom web page and paste them. This example walks you through creating a web page that displays conditional energy accumulations with data displayed across the row, and input metering values with data displayed down columns and across rows. Use the Modbus register list you downloaded to find the web page tags for the values you want to display. Search for input metering to find the tags for input metering accumulation on channels 1 to 4. Make note of the web page tags, in this case IM1 consumption to IM4 consumption. Repeat the process for the input metering rate per channel and the conditional energy values. Next, rename the sample web page. Rename samplemonitorpage.html to the name for your web page. In this example, rename it inputmeteringcondenergy.html. This name, -.html, appears as the title in the meter's web page menu. Next, let's create the first section of our custom web page. Open the sample HTML file in a text or HTML editor. Here's the HTML markup we need to create to display the conditional energy accumulation section in the example web page. It includes the first H3 element and the first div element. In this section, data is displayed in one row across multiple columns. Edit the H3 target and div ID attributes to reflect the parameters you want to display in the section. Make sure the two values are the same. In this example, cond energy. Change basic readings to the heading you want to display on the web page. In this example, conditional energy accumulations. Leave the non-breaking space in the first TH element. This leaves the heading of the first column empty, so we can use it as a heading row. Change the text between the brackets in the TH elements to the column headings you want to display on the web page. In this example, delivered, received, and del-rec. If you need additional columns, simply copy and paste an existing heading, then modify it. This example doesn't need any additional columns, so I'll delete it. Change the text in brackets in the first TD element to the heading for that row of data. In this example, accumulation. Delete the value in the units reg attribute. It's not needed. Change the value of the reg name attribute in the second TD element to match the web page tag for the first conditional energy parameter. In this example, conditional kilowatt hours delivered. Repeat this for the remaining two TD elements, changing the reg name attribute to match the web page tag for the parameters conditional kilowatt hours received and conditional kilowatt hours delivered minus received. Because this example only has one row of data, delete the last TR element. Let's create the second section of the example web page. The second section displays input metering accumulations and rates for 2 gas meters in meters cubed and meters cubed per hour, and 2 water meters in gallons and gallons per hour. Edit the H3 target and div ID attributes to reflect the parameters you want to display in the section. Make sure the two values are the same, in this example, input metering. Change the H3 heading text to reflect the parameters you want to display in that section. In this example, change basic readings to input metering accumulations. Leave the non-breaking space in the first TH element to allow a column for row headings. Replace the text in the brackets of the second TH element with a heading for the first column of gas meter data, in this example, cubic meters. Copy and paste the TH element to add another column heading, then change the heading text to cubic meters per hour. In the first TR element, change the heading in brackets to gas meter 1. Delete the units reg attribute value. Change the value of the reg name attribute in the second TD element to IM1 consumption to match the web page tag from the modbus register list. Finally, copy-paste the last TD element and change the value of the reg name attribute to IM1 rate. In the second TR element, change the row heading to gas meter 2, delete the units reg attribute value, change the TD reg name attribute to IM2 consumption, and copy-paste the TD element and change the reg name attribute to IM2 rate. To create the second part of the table, copy-paste the existing 3 TR elements. Change the value of the TH headings to gallons and gallons per hour. Edit the TR elements. Change the first heading to water meter 1 and the reg name attributes to IM3 consumption and IM3 rate, respectively. Change the second heading to water meter 2 and the reg name attributes to IM4 consumption and IM4 rate. The example custom data viewing webpage.html file is complete. I can now save it and load it to my meters FTP site. Next, let's load the custom web page to your meters FTP site. Open the meters FTP site using a username and password with FTP access. Open the web folder, then open the monitoring folder. Copy the HTML file you created and paste it into this folder. The final step in creating a custom web page is to make sure the web page is appearing as you expected. Now you're ready to create a web page to view your own set of meter data using the web page tags from the meters modbus map and editing the sample web page using a basic HTML editor.